Is growth hacking nonsense? Well, look at Joey over here. It's like blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, that's not always the best way to start, but we're going to talk about how that may actually feel to most people and why it actually is not. Before we get started, I'd like to remind you to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you can get future awesome videos like this. Like this video and share it with those that you think that may have great benefit from this. But the big kicker is a $100 bonus that I am offering to everybody watching this video. You can avail it at the end of this video. So I'll see you at the very end and I will give you those details. Do not skip ahead. Do not. I'm going to show you why not. Let's kick it in. All right. So is growth hacking nonsense? Okay. The short answer is it's not. If you take a look at unicorns are billion-dollar startup companies. Our startup companies are valued at $1 billion. And at the core of each one of them is growth hacking. That's how they got so big. But is it for tech companies only? It is not. It is for traditional and tech companies alike. We've talked about that in previous videos, and we'll talk more about that in the future. But there's a few things I'd like to get out of the way, which makes people believe that growth hacking may be nonsense. Number one is confusion. There's a lot of bleeding terms like digital marketing, social marketing, social digital marketing, social hack, and it goes on and on and on and on. I can probably build you a list of at least 15 different terminologies I've heard that all allude to growth hacking but actually have nothing to do with it. Now, the challenge with that is growth hacking is an emerging discipline. Okay, the thing about an emerging discipline, bleeding terms come into it all the time and completely confuse the hell out of everybody. Growth hacking is growth hacking. It is not digital marketing or any of the other things that you hear about. Those are just subcomponents of growth hacking. As I mentioned, it's emerging practice, okay? Growth hacking is not something that you would go to a Harvard or any major university and say, hey, sign me up. I'd like to get an MBA in growth hacking, or I'd like to get a certificate in growth hacking. Now, that may change, and I think it will change in a very interesting way. But the reason I mention that to you is that it is not a recognized full throttle practice. It's being developed and defined as we speak. It's an absolutely exciting time for such things like this. I love these kinds of things, but it can create total confusion and it can make you believe that it's a lot of nonsense because there's a lot of people throwing a lot of garbage at you related to it to confuse you intentionally and sometimes not intentionally. All right. So the thing about growth hacking as a community. So I'd like to explain a few really important things because it's so early stage and why it creates this confusion, which leads to people may believe it's nonsense, is that about 14% of all growth hacks actually work. I'll be sharing more insights in the future behind that, why and how they work and how many experiments it would take to actually get a higher success rate. Most people give up too early. The growth hacking community is roughly 4,000 people globally. There are a few different numbers on that, but there are about 4,000 people globally. Initially, it may sound like a lot of people, but it's actually a drop in the water. They are so rare to come by. They're almost like an extinct species at this point. But there are many more growth hackers and new generations of them being developed, which is extremely exciting at this point. Every year, there's roughly about 675% increase on demand on growth hackers and growth hacking. So it's an extremely potent, high demand area, which is going to prove to be a very interesting outcome for all of us to see. Which is even more interesting is about 1.5% of all Fortune 1000 companies have prioritized growth. Now, prioritized growth, I want to explain that very carefully. They want to put growth as a discipline over other disciplines. So what that means is that in an organization, you'd have your leadership and then you would have your functions. So strategy, marketing, sales, business development, procurement, admin, and then underneath it, they would then be mandated to drive growth using their specific function. What organizations who are led by growth hacking do the opposite. They do the other way around. That's why they experience exponential growth. They put the growth function as a priority on top of all the other disciplines. So you'd have growth, and then you'd have strategy, marketing, business development, sales, procurement, admin, etc. Right? And that changes the whole narrative of how certain companies achieve exponential growth and others don't. We'll be talking a lot more about that in the future. So hit me up on the comments, okay? What do you find most confusing about growth hacking? Put it in the comments below. Don't forget to put the hashtag growth hacking. I'd love to get the rest of the growth hacking community involved in this. So definitely hit me up with your comment. And now that we've reached the end, I can fulfill my promise that I told you at the beginning. All right. So $100 bonus. It is my certified level 1 Growth Ninja training course. It is a 10-day course delivered daily into your inbox. It is a course that walks you through the fundamentals of what growth hacking is about and how it works. And guess what? It's going to get you moving really fast. Now, this course is here on a limited time and limited basis. Please go down to the description. You'll see a link with any specific instructions on how to avail this offer. So go ahead and do that. And best of luck with your growth hacks. I will see you in the next video.